Hello! It's Ren Presents time. I'm your host Ren, and today we continue with the Temple of the Exploding Head Omnibus, Part 2, Chapter 6, and the Dead Held Hands. So last week, Kay decided to pay a visit to Sam on her home turf at Castle Astralon on the shores of Lake Monoma. Kay's never been there, Sam has never invited him, and has even said, elders aren't really a big thing down there. You wouldn't be a big hit if you just showed up. And it's preternaturally foggy. It's foggy all the time. That's why Sam sees best in muted light. Bright light bothers her, such things, so that's why she wears her goggles a lot, which filters that out. But so they're used to seeing things in a deep fog. So Sam's home is in a fog. And Kay kind of has an idea. She's described where it is on the shores of Lake Monoma. And he decides, I'm going to go down there. And I'm going to just knock on the door and hope they let me in. So his sister Hathaline pilots him in her little souped up rip car, and she can't go into the fog because her navigation would be screwed, so she drops him off outside the fog. And he goes in and gets immediately lost. And he's like, God, I don't know which way's which. It's like being in one of those whiteout blizzards where you take a step away from your house and you have no idea where it is all of a sudden because it's just white all around you. He comes across two Monomas pulling this giant wagon, like a steampunky sort of wagon. He finds out it's the amazing Clatera and wife, Mitsalarin. And after a bit of give and take, Kay decides, I'm going to ask some questions and pay them a couple Blanchford haters for their trouble. And they say, sure. They invite him in, get him some coffee. And he starts asking questions, and they don't like the questions he's asking, especially Clatera, the guy. He's like, you don't have enough silver for me to answer this. He keeps wanting to talk about watchers over their shoulder. Like, who are they? What are they? And he's like, I'm not telling you that. Okay, tell me about berserkicides. Oh, I'm not telling you about that either. So, it doesn't get too far. Eventually, Mitsalarin warms up to him and tells him a few things, and she tells him about these weird demons that haunt them. And she says, I don't know what else to call them but demons, and they're always watching us, and occasionally they come and they make us do things we don't want to do, and we have no choice but to do it, and stuff like that. And Clatera's like, don't tell them those things because we're going to become berserkicides, Mitz. If you keep lip flapping, we're going to be in a lot of trouble. And then Mitz tells him, did your lady present you with a white flower? And he said no. She says, well, if she ever does, you'll be at trial for her love, and it's not safe and it's not pleasant. Said, show her. You said you received one in the mail, one of these little flowers, the white Amelia. Show it to Sam, and she'll be compelled to tell you what's going on. So he thanked them, and he left. And his sister eventually picks him back up. This week, Chapter 6, Dead Held Hands, and I hope you know, Book 1 of the Omnibus is the Dead Held Hands. So we'll find out what significance that has to the plot at large, what meaning it has. And I have to tell you that when I wrote this, Book 1, this one just one big book. Book 1 was the hardest one to come up with a name for. I really had to struggle and do some soul searching and come up with. At first, I was going to call it Lady Sammy Dorn of Monoma, and my publisher was like, "Fuck that. That sucks." Like, okay, yeah. And I vacillated on a few other titles, and eventually, The Dead Held Hands held sway. So let's knock it out. This is a pretty short chapter. Let's knock it out and then continue with it. This is kind of, this part of Book 1 is always the the information book where you get familiar with the scenes, you get familiar with the characters and the general plot, but doesn't have as much action and cool stuff as the later books do. And so this part of the book is kind of like, I always call it the doldrums, where there's kind of moving the plot along at a sedate pace, at a medium pace, as Adam Sandler would say. But pretty soon we're going to come out of that, which is good. That's a good thing. Let's knock this chapter out, and it shouldn't take too long. So, Temple of the Exploding Head Omnibus, Book 1, The Dead Held Hands, Part 2, Chapter 6, and The Dead Held Hands.
We used to be evil once, and the gods are still punishing us.
With the morning came the inevitable slew of questions. Sam, as usual, was evasive and didn't answer. This time, Kay was not going to be denied. He fetched his dried white amelia flower, approached Sam, and held it up. "Tell me about the trials, Sam." She looked at the flower and took it from him. She was devastated. Sam stood there holding the flower for a long time. Finally, "The cathedral," she whispered into his ear as she removed Snugs and vanished. Kay dressed and went down to Cathomir's cathedral. Inside the twilight interior, Sam was sitting near the front. She had on her goggles and was admiring the statue. The rector was standing near her, asking that she remove her goggles. "Good sir," Kay said. "Would you give us this space?" "Well, I have a sermon to prepare," he said. "I really don't care. Please leave us. We shan't be long," Kay said with a tone of finality as the rector stomped away. Kay seated himself next to Sam. She sat there, small and rather deflated in her gown. She stared at the floor. "I so love this place," she quietly said. "I'm gonna miss it." "Are you going somewhere, Sam?" Sam took a deep breath. "You have shown me the white amelia. I wonder who told you about that. I am therefore compelled to tell you of the trials. When a Monoma girl gives her heart publicly, and her love is known to all, she must put her love to trial. That's what the gods in Jade and Sapphire demand." Sam spoke so softly, Kay had difficulty hearing her. "A test of some sort? A contest?" Sam was utterly defeated. "Yes, and I'm not referring to a mere foot race or a friendly wrestling match." She wept. Her voice was down to a whisper. "And just what sort of contest do you think I'm talking about, Kay? Don't make me say it, please." The silence of the cathedral around them was profound. Kay shuffled. "Are you saying you're going to have to try and kill me, Sam?" She removed her goggles, her black eyes heavy with tears. "That's right," she said, her voice lost in the vastness around them. "That's right." Sam sat there, contemplative and bitter. "Well, that's why I've wanted you to advance your gifts so that you'd be more ready. I thought..." "You thought I'd stand a better chance of surviving?" "Yes, of course." She hesitated and was desperate. "I won't give you any trouble, Kay, I swear. Just tell me to go away, and I won't be a bother." Kay put his arms around her and she pulled away. "Why would I do that, Sam?" "Kay, Do you have any doubt that if I wished, I could kill you? Do you? Well, I'm strong, too. I'm fast. She savored his face and took it into her hands. Yes, you are, Kay, but in all honesty, if I were to come at you, as in the trials, you wouldn't last long. That's just the reality of it. So I'm asking you to tell me to leave and never return. Be done with me. Sam put her face into her hands and started sobbing. Kay put his arm around her, feeling her body convulsing with her crying. There she was, arms skinny and wiry, yet impossibly strong. There were her slender hands, ended with a set of deadly claws. An odd thing happened. Sam had just admitted she one day might have to try and kill him, and given her incredible strength, her wind-like speed, and her gut-rending claws, she was easily capable of doing so. He should have been terrified. He should have been fleeing from her side and calling out the castle guard. But Kay did none of those things. Kay was the son of a Vith household, but up to this point in his short life, he had never felt much like a Vith lord. The Vith were proud and strong. The Vith were fearless and eager to meet any challenge, like his father had. Kay, so far, had been an aloof, castle-bound vagabond who couldn't fly, couldn't manage league society, and couldn't sight. He was a talentless purple and green oddity. But being with Sam had taught him several things about himself that he was much more capable than even he had given himself credit for. He had allowed himself to fall in love with a Monoma girl, looking past all their strangeness and social stigmas. He had embraced her ways and tried to understand them, even picking up the basics and a decent vocabulary of Sam's language, which was not easy by any means. He created his own Karg and built a statue of his mother. He did these things all on his own. And now, here was Sam admitting that she would have to be compelled to attempt his bloody murder. He didn't feel a hint of fear. He wasn't shocked either. He drew from an unexpected wellspring of courage he didn't know he had, just like his father before him, facing his evil black hat mother, alone for the first time, and just like his little sister Hathaline, fearlessly flying her Ripcar, just like a Vith. Sam stared at him, holding her goggles, the fear and despair clear in her large black eyes. There's a saying we have, Sam. They say the Vith feel no cold and feel no fear either, because our ancestors sit in the gallery of the dead and hold hands, lending the living their power. It's through the living that the memory of the dead is passed on, and so they help us when we are worthy of help, and they take our fear from us. You have just told me you shall have to try and kill me someday. If you expected me to be frightened, I'm not frightened, Sam. If you thought I'd be shocked, I'm not really shocked either. I am Vith. I might not act like it most of the time, but I am. We have faced many perils through the ages, and we have endured, as my father did before me. Somehow, some way, I will discover a way to survive. The dead have held their hands for me, and I am not afraid. Sam sat there, open-mouthed, shocked. She wiped her eyes and put her arms around him. And you still wish me at your side? How many elder men have to worry about such things? I'm not other elder men. My family isn't destined to walk the same trodden path as anyone else. Look at my father. He had to stare into the eyes of death to court my mother. Also, my grandmother was a deadly duelist, and my great-great-grandmother was a bloodstained witch. And there's more, many more, going back into antiquity. Had I selected to court some tea-drinking lady from Xenon, I'd surely be letting a lot of dead ancestors down. Maybe, in such a case, they wouldn't have held their hands for me. There's a challenge to be faced, and I will face it when the time is right. Sam laughed a little. She burst with joy. Oh, Kay, I've underestimated you then. How could I? Shame on me. I should have told you long ago and anticipated you'd take it in stride. You are such a remarkable young man. It's fortunate for me I lost my heart to a Vith lord. Couldn't you just have consulted the future to see what I would have said? Things like this can go many ways, Kay. There are many futures. Besides, as we are sitting here, I don't think I could see this conversation anyway. Blacked out, this cathedral truly is a place of wonder. So, you've revealed one secret. What about the other ones? Am I ready to hear those as well? Have I not earned your trust? Sam darkened a little. Well, okay, if I have other secrets, and I'm not saying I do, I keep them because there are things all around us that you don't understand. I don't understand them either. Please, I'm not trying to be condescending. There are things that are beyond me, Kay. Things that I am afraid of. Things that I have no control over, and neither do you. You might feel no fear, but I do. I'm afraid of many things, and I don't want to burden you with my fears, or mostly silly anyway. My people have a lot of primitive beliefs, and none of them have any place out here in the world. They stood and made to exit the cathedral, Sam holding on to Kay as they walked. She clung to him. Well, I don't know if I buy all that, Sam. There is something that not only you, but other Monomas shrink from. Something that makes you hold your tongue and look over your shoulder. I'd like you to tell me what it is. I will make this pact with you, Kay. I have often spoken of you as being great in the future, and I'm ashamed for saying that. You are great now, and I love you so. Study your gifts with heart and effort this time, for you now know what's at stake. Develop them, and when I'm satisfied, I will share with you all my silly beliefs. It won't be long, I promise. Can you live with that? Do I have a choice? Sam didn't answer. As they exited the cathedral, she quickly reverted to darting eyes and glances over her shoulder. After lunch, she was gone again, vanished to who knows where. And with that, we conclude Part 2, Chapter 6, and the Dead Held Hands. So, there it is. The Vith, as they've maturated in my head and over time, have a number of other humanly characteristics. They can do a lot of things. They have the gifts of the minds. They don't usually have all of them, but they always have a fair amount. Kay has 3 of them. Or 2 of them, anyways. They are known for their ability to ward off cold. They don't really feel cold. And they don't feel fear. They can feel anxiety. They can feel concern. Usually for other people, like their loved ones and so forth. But they don't feel fear, per se. You can't really scare a Vith or make them shrink in fright. That just doesn't happen. The Vith don't feel it. The reason for that, per their stories, their lore, their legends, is that their dead ancestors are watching them in the gallery of the dead. And if they approve of your prowess, your courage, your whatever, they will hold their hands and lend you their power, help you in whatever you're doing. And one of these helps is to remove fear from you. And so Sam basically tells Kay, yeah, if we go to trial, I'm going to have to try to kill you. And you're going to have to survive that. And yeah, I'm way stronger than you are. I'm way faster. I can gut you with my claws without even half trying. It wouldn't even be a fair fight. So just tell me to leave and go away, and you won't have to worry about this. But Kay surprises her. He's like, well, if you expected me to be frightened, I'm not frightened. If you expected me to be shocked, I'm not shocked. No, I am Vith. And we're expected to face a challenge, face a peril, and overcome it in some way. Look what my dad, Captain Davidge, had to do when he first met his mother, who was an evil black cat, one of the worst around, and he survived. He says, well, I mean, yeah, physically it could kill me very easily, but I would come up with a way to survive. And that gives Sam heart. And she's like, well, I underestimated you, and I'm sorry. So they get past that, and then Kay says, well, tell me about all your rest of your secrets that you have. And she says, well, study your gifts, and when I'm satisfied, I'll tell you all my beliefs, and they're mostly stupid anyways. And that's the end of the chapter. So, made a little progress there. Kay proved his worth to Sam to some extent. Showed her he's not scared, even though if they were to start the trials now and Sam were to come at him and try and kill him, in his current situation, there's probably not much he could do to stop her. Like she said, she's a Monomoth, and she's a big Monomoth, so they're a lot stronger than Vith, a lot stronger than the Elders, and they can a lot faster, and she could gut him with her claws without even half trying. That nastiness is for another day. Next week, we will continue with the saga as we pull through the doldrums of Book 1 and get into some of the more exciting chapters. Book 1, Part 2, Chapter 7, The Invisible World, where Kay continues his quest to understand the things that are happening around him. Until then, this is Ren Presents. I am your host, Ren. Peace out.